beer empty can, and then I saw the marijuana over there.
Just this week, police in Chatham were called when a Value Village store received a donation, later identified as a historical grenade. The store was evacuated as a precaution.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird.
Handsome Aaron Airport. We're back for episode 190 of Keep Canada Weird. I always like on the 10s. It's a bit of I feel like it's been a decade since 180.
Yeah, it does definitely feel that way. A solid 10 years since that it took us to release 10 episodes over 10 years. We're working hard here.
We're finally figuring out what we're doing. We got our legs underneath us, so let's start running. Let's keep Canada weird by seeking out and exploring the unique and offbeat stories from the last week. There's a bunch of great ones, and I'm so excited to talk to you about them. But before we do, as we always do, we got to introduce our special drinks and ask each other how we're doing. Mm-hmm. Which do you want to do first, drinks or how we're doing?
Let me ask you how you're doing first, because you usually ask me first. But since it's episode 190, it's a special episode. Let's mix it up. So here we go. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Jordan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I had a nice day. It was relaxing. My sweet girl, Penny, laid on me and I petted her as I prepared for our show tonight. Penny's a dog. And we had a nice walk before we sat down tonight. So I'm refreshed. I'm ready to get into it. My heart's in this. I'm firing on all cylinders. How are you?
That's really exciting to hear. I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking. I had a very busy day today. My schedule's been very busy lately. It's been hard to find free time. Well, just with work and with rehearsals for several different things. And school, I'm taking a course at the university, so that's got me very busy as well. And I'm working on my final project and loving my cat, Ken Tiggs. That's taking up time.
That's
5 things. And recording with you once a week. That's another thing on my plate. And so it's getting difficult to find free time to do other things, but that's okay. I like being busy. I've got a special drink in hand here, so let me ask you, do you have a special drink?
I have an exciting special drink. I don't know if I told you, but I stopped doing the keto diet, which is avoiding carbs, thus avoiding sugar. I stopped doing it usually around Christmas and this time of year because I'm going to be eating crap anyway, so I might as well, and it's getting colder out, so I might as well put on a few pounds. Since I don't need to avoid sugar, I can drink one of my favorite drinks that I usually don't get to have. It's just coconut water. I don't know if you like coconut water. It seems to be one of those things that people love or cannot stand. It's just a regular unsweetened coconut water. I haven't had one in probably a year and a half. And it's the most refreshing thing, especially when it's really cold. Let me have a sip. My first sip in a while. Oh, it's delicious. I feel like I'm on the beach. What do you got?
Okay, I have a beer tonight.
Oh, shit.
No, I'm not drinking to get drunk. I'm just having a beer. This is the only one that I have this evening.
So it's like a recreational beer, not a business beer, we'll call it.
Right. Business beer is a different kind of beer. And sometimes I do business beers on this show. And sometimes,
I know.
Most times I don't because that's a different show. But this is from the Church Brewing Co. So it's their blonde beer, they call it.
Okay.
This is out of Wolfville, Nova Scotia.
The brewery's in an old church.
Yeah. So it's called The Church is the name of it. I'm going to crack this sucker open. Oh, yeah.
Glad you got something that made you happy. I want to start the show with a voicemail here that pertains to special drinks. This one came through Anonymous, which is always interesting, and it's short and sweet. Listen to this.
Pickle Pepsi.
It simply said Pickle Pepsi. What they meant to say is like, hey, Jordan and Aaron, you guys should look up Pickle Pepsi and talk about it a little bit. But they just said Pickle Pepsi. But anyway, if you don't know what it is, let me read you something here and tell me if this is something you'd be interested in. Kentucky Fried Chicken's Pickle Pepsi is a limited-time Canadian menu item that blends regular Pepsi with a splash of pickle brine. It's being offered as part of the chain's new pickle-themed lineup. The drink is meant to ride the wave of growing pickle-flavored food trends, pairing the cola's sweetness with a sharp, salty tang of dill. It's available now at participating KFC restaurants in Canada. Anyway, Have you heard of pickle Pepsi?
No, I haven't. This is the first I'm hearing of it. I have been seeing the whole dill pickle trend going around different restaurants. Like McDonald's has a whole new dill pickle menu that they're jamming down our faces when we're going through the drive-thru. So it seems to be really gaining momentum, this whole pickle parade.
Bizarre. Where did that come from? You never know what trend is going to take off. You've probably heard all of the kids saying 6, 7. Pickle Pepsi and the whole pickle trend is about as ridiculous as that. I like pickles as much as the next guy. I'll eat a dill pickle. I like them on my burgers, but I'm certainly not I like pickles so much that I would love it mixed with Pepsi.
Anything else? Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind pickles. They're okay. If they end up on my burger, I will eat the pickles. But if I have a choice, I'm going to go without pickles. And it's probably the same policy that I'll put towards my drinks as well. I don't imagine infusing any pickle-related tastes into my beverage. But to each his own, I suppose. I'd be willing to try it.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's get into it. We have actually 3 segments of stories. I'm going to let you pick how we go about this. We have what I refer to as obligatory stories, for reasons you'll know when we get into the stories. We have stories covering threats facing Canadians. We can call them uprisings, but I'll just go with threats facing Canadians. Or do you want to hear some WTF stories, which are just the weird, wild, and off-the-wall ones? Where should we start with this?
Well, let's start with the obligatory stories, because that seems to be a good way for us to ease into this episode and save the WTF for the end.
Yeah, if we're obligated to cover them, let's just get it out of the way. We've said on Keep Canada Weird, there are certain stories that no matter what, if they are in the news, we will cover them. Those stories relate to cats or lottery winners. I don't know why I've always loved stories about people winning the lotto. It can be the most vanilla lotto win, but I find that moment when they're on TV talking about it is interesting. But there's an extra interesting lotto win playing out in Ontario, so we'll start with that. This summer, a 70-year-old man in Toronto claimed a $1 million lotto win. But now, only 4 short months later, the man's in police custody, charged with a litany of fraud-related offenses. Here's the story of the Ontario lotto winner and his million little secrets.
This is 70-year-old Alex Perucha, a retiree whom the Ontario Provincial Police say stole from and defrauded 2 friends, with whom he shared a lottery ticket, claiming a $1 million prize as his own. It was here at Dawes Dollar and Video where the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Commission said Perucha purchased the ticket, which turned out to be a $1 million winner.
$11. He only played $11.
Sean Lee, whose family owns the business, says he remembers Perucha coming in with his wife in May to check his ticket.
He came here, put the ticket through. It's $1 million. I've never seen a $1 million winner before, right? So yeah, like I said, I congratulate him.
Lee says Perucha was calm, as though he did not want others to know.
I remember another customer came by. She asked, "Oh, how much did you win?" Because the terminal froze, right? But he was really prepared, and the fact he just lied to her, say, "Oh, I only won $10,000."
The Ontario Lottery and Gaming Commission says on July 2nd, Perucha claimed the $1 million lotto as a sole claimant and received payment from the OLG. The case was referred to the OPP in September after the OLG received claims that the winnings were part of a group play arrangement. Investigators now allege that the winnings should have been shared between 3 people instead of just 1. Last Wednesday, Perucha was arrested and charged with theft over $5,000, fraud over $5,000, and possession of property obtained by crime. In July, when Perucha claimed the $1 million winnings as his own, he told the OLG he'd been playing the lottery for nearly 30 years, telling them he's delighted to share the story of his first big win. Lee says the OPP came by the store when his parents were working, but he didn't know the details of the investigation until we told him about the allegations leveled by police.
It's crazy, you know what I mean? Like, it's not what I expected. I was really hoping that the money would go towards like a good family or someone that would put it to use, right? Rather than just greed.
More money, more problems, especially so when you're alleged to be a fraudster. When you listen to that story, if you pay attention to the timeline of what happened, that kind of tells its own story. So we heard the shopkeeper say he came in May and claimed the ticket or like cashed the ticket or whatever, like checked his ticket, and he was kind of like secretive about it. And he told some girl in the store, I only won $10,000. That was in May. It wasn't until July that he actually went to the Ontario Lotto Commission and actually cashed it. So he waited 2 months to cash the ticket. Now, several months later, he's charged with fraud. I wonder if he won it in May and was like, I'm just going to sit on this and see what happens. And 2 months later, he's like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
The other guys.
Yeah.
I would love to know what that group buy or group play arrangement was. It seems that's a bad idea when you actually win.
It's always tough, but I mean, it's fairly simple on paper. Everybody chips in their money towards the tickets, and then you split the winnings evenly amongst everybody participating. It's fairly straightforward, but when one person controls the cashing in and the buying of the tickets, then there's a certain amount of trust that goes into that individual being on the up and up when it comes to being truthful about the winnings.
Yeah.
But when you win big, like, I don't know what he was thinking, because no matter how you slice it, it's going to get out, because you have to, over a certain amount, the lottery company wants to advertise who wins, because that's part of the experience. So you have to get your photo taken. You have to do all these publicity things to announce the win. That's part of the terms and conditions. So he's forced to go through with that. So word is definitely going to get out that he just won $1 million. And if I'm somebody that has commonly split on tickets with him, and a lot of groups will have maybe email evidence, or they'll have some kind of a correspondence that they can go back to prove it. Obviously, they had substantial evidence
enough to lay charges, which have to be rock solid, I would think, especially in this kind of like a financial fraud case. And all this for what reason? Like, if he won $1 million and it was going to be split between three people, if you're not satisfied with winning $333,000, greed has gotten you big time.
Yeah, like, take the win, because now look at the consequences of trying to go solo and with this thing. So he goes and tries to claim it all himself. Now he's arrested and he's facing all of these charges. And now what's going to happen to him?
Well, he's going to be featured on Keep Canada Weird as a possible crook, and probably nothing ever again. We probably won't hear any follow-up on this. I think people like...
But will he still be able to keep the money?
I wonder if there's some kind of like terms and conditions within the Lotto's like agreement that if they catch you like doing something wrong or fraud or whatever, that you're ineligible for winning. Like maybe there's something in there where it could cost him, but at least he's going to be out some money on legal expenses as a result of this.
At the very least, hopefully there's a bit more of a financial cost to him, because this was very greasy. It was very unnecessary. And yeah, it's really unfortunate that he chose this path, because again, it's one of those crimes where you're 100% going to get caught.
You would think, yeah. It just seems like a stupid thing, but we don't know the particulars of it. This news story didn't really tell us too much about who these people are to him, what the agreement was, how exactly they found out about it. It's still interesting to see, though, that you can win $1 million, or you can win $333,000, but it's still not enough to talk you out of trying to steal a little bit more from your probably friends. Awful story. Screw you, buddy, if you did it. I hope you pay the price, and I hope your buddies get their $666,000.
I hope so too. Yeah.
Let's go to our next obligatory story.
Okay.
If it isn't a lotto win, it's a cat, and a cat is in the news. You are the expert. You are the resident expert here on kitties. But I don't know if you're going to be able to make sense of this cat story. This is an interesting one. A Calgary family just got their cat back after she vanished 8 years ago, leaving no trace behind. Here's the story of the runaway cat.
It's a quiet, snow-covered rural road just south of Okotoks. This is where Catherine the calico cat was found last week before being dropped off here at the Southern Alberta Veterinary Emergency Hospital.
Just hearing that she had both a microchip and a tattoo, and we still couldn't locate any owners, just didn't sit right with me.
A call out on social media spread the word. Staff were looking for its owner. Then a call to the Humane Society connected with Karina Murray.
I got the news when I was driving, and I pulled over when they showed me so I could look at the photo to see if that was her, and it was, and then I instantly started crying.
Murray adopted Catherine nearly 12 years ago as a kitten. The feline disappeared 3 years later, and the family believed she was gone for good.
We adopted 2 other kittens, and she didn't like them very much. So then she started to go outside a little bit more, but she'd always come home. And then one day, she just didn't come home.
Until now, Catherine is back home in Calgary, where she spent the last 8 years. Nobody knows.
The fact that she did survive all the years, we have no idea what she's been through, and I really wish she could talk, because she could tell us all her stories.
But the Murrays never lost hope.
We strongly suspected that she wasn't dead because she's so tough and so smart.
Nathaniel Murray was 9 when Catherine went missing. Now 17, he calls the reunion a surreal moment.
She played such a big role in my life at 9 years old, and finally being able to see her again was just an unbelievable experience.
And after all this time apart, the Murrays are not taking any chances.
We don't intend on letting her anywhere near the outside because we can't risk that happening again.
What a wild story. We've covered stuff like that in the past, but it still shocks me that a cat can make it that long, and how frustrating it must be as their owner to not have the answers to where they've been the last 8.5 years.
It certainly sounds like the cat didn't want to live with them.
Yeah, like that's why I set it up as the runaway cat. It's pretty clear this cat ran away from home because she didn't like her new siblings.
Yeah. So it's like, well, I'd live with you guys, but you brought in some randos into the mix here, and now I'm kind of stuck living with them, and then the cat starts spending more time outside, and then it decides, I prefer the outside. I think I'll risk the elements, and I'll live out there, and you guys can do whatever it is you do in there. So that's why I found it a little unusual too, like the son's reaction to the whole thing.
How so? What about it?
He was like, I was 9, and then they had the cat for 3 years, and how much of a pivotal role he said the cat played in his life. And
well, I think what he meant there is just as a 9-year-old, your family cat is probably like a much bigger part of your life than like it would be a 16 or 17-year-old's. I get what he means.
And then he says they're going to keep it inside and never let it out again. But this is an outdoor rugged cat now. This is going to be worse for this cat, because now this cat's like, I am an outdoor cat 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. And now you're going to transition me into indoor 100% of the time. I just think that this cat is kind of bummed it's going back. Yeah,
that is an interesting way to look at it, because this is a tough cat. It's a different cat coming back now, but it's also a senior cat. So maybe Catherine the Calico is ready to settle down. I got to say as well, though, Calicos are beautiful cats. The color, I love the look of the Calico. And I like saying that word, Calico cat. Catherine the Calico cat. But Catherine is coming back very tough, has seen it and lived it. The winter in Calgary is damn cold. I'm kind of surprised a cat can survive it, but of course they can.
Of course they can. Yeah, cats are survivors. And I think this family is about to get a real reckoning, bringing this now street-hardened beast into the house. And they're about to get a rude awakening when basically they're going to be waking up in the middle of the night, and Catherine the Calico cat's going to have a knife to their throat.
Yeah, let me out. Open the front door.
What's the code to the lock now?
It's an interesting one. I'm glad they got their cat back. It's a cool story, but it really says a lot about cats. The fact that Catherine just wandered off and managed to make it work, make it happen on the streets of Calgary for the last 8 years and then some. It'd be cool getting the cat back though, like just to have that experience, like raising it as a kitten. I'm sure they assumed they would never see that cat again, and probably stopped even like thinking about the possibility of ever seeing it again after a couple months. And then randomly you see a post going around on social media that some humane society got your cat. I think that's cool. But that's all of our obligatory stories. They're out of the way now. We can move on to something different. Why don't we take a quick break? And when we come back, we'll get into something scary. We have 2 stories covering emerging threats to Canadians or I guess to humanity in general. Of course, I'm talking about a story related to teenagers and a story concerning the animal uprising. We'll get into it after this short break. Handsome Aaron Airport, things are about to get serious here. We've been tracking two uprisings that are threatening humanity. One is the mass disobedience of teenagers. The other is the potential or obvious uprising of animals. What do you want to start with in terms of stories tonight?
Well, let's start with the teenager situation that I noticed you didn't call the puberty problem. Is there a specific reason?
I want to say, maybe I feel a bit of comfort in thinking of this story that we're about to discuss as just a one-off story of some bad teenagers in London, Ontario. But I guess I should just say, yeah, there's a puberty problem happening here in Canada.
Yeah, we're in the thick of it. Let's hear about it.
Okay, let's pull the Band-Aid off. A London, Ontario restaurant owner is going public after a mob of about 30 teenagers swarmed his sushi restaurant. Here's the story of the teenage chaos in London, Ontario.
It was a regular Friday night for Plaza Sushi Masonville owner Won-Suk Chang until a group of high school girls asked if they could use the washroom.
They never come back, and then they grabbed all our belongings.
Chang says they searched through restroom supplies and stole items before leaving the premises. He says shortly after, two more girls entered requesting to use the restroom, but he refused. And that's when things took a turn for the worst.
Sometimes the high school girl hit me, and then sometimes the high school boy hit me.
Chang says there was a group of 20 students blocking the restaurant entrance.
Our customer cannot go outside, so that's the reason why I go outside.
He says the group was yelling and throwing garbage.
Beer, empty can, and they already have a beer. And then I saw the marijuana over there.
CCTV footage obtained by CTV News shows restaurant employees catching wind of the altercation and rushing to help.
We are fighting against each other, but mostly we got hit because we know they are minor.
Chang says a male student pulled a knife out of his pocket and threatened to stab him. London police arrived on scene shortly after and were able to locate and arrest the youth.
A 16-year-old male of London who cannot be named under the provisions of the Youth Criminal Justice Act has been charged with a number of offenses.
Chang says he has sustained a number of injuries as a result of the chaos, including an injury to his jaw and a large contusion on his thigh from a heavy metal object.
This is kind of their stage.
Chang says he hopes the incident will encourage parents to teach their children right from wrong.
I don't like that. He made a lot of mistakes, I gotta say. After someone who's been tracking the puberty problem for a while here on Keep Canada Weird, I see a couple problems in this story, but where do you want to start with this?
Well, I'm wondering what problems you saw. He seemed to go right out into the hornet's nest, essentially.
20 to 30 teenagers drinking, rowdy, invading your small little peaceful sushi restaurant. The whole thing with like this no public washroom, the washroom's only for restaurant customers. That's maybe a rule that should definitely be enforced when it comes to a group of teenagers.
Yeah, when you see teenagers entering a sushi restaurant, sushi is not generally a restaurant that teenagers go into on their own accord. They're going
have a few drinks in the park and then go get some sushi. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. Let's get some California rolls and just hang out in the sushi parking lot.
Yeah.
It's really not a place that they frequent willingly. If they're there, they're probably there to enact the puberty problem in real time. And if that's the case, watch out. But again,
we can say
lock the doors, call the police.
We can say if they're there, they're probably there showing symptoms. Symptoms of what? The puberty problem. They ended the news piece by saying like the restaurant owner hopes this is like a lesson for parents to teach their kids right from wrong. The problem is the people who haven't done that by the time they're a teenager, they're not going to see this in the news and change their awful ways. The puberty problem is here to stay. It's a societal issue. It's like the human condition.
This is a blanket problem. It's all across the country. It's all across the world. And it's getting worse. And I think, between AI, the puberty problem, the animal uprising, we're looking at a perfect storm of complete chaos. And the normal human being that is just trying to live their lives will suffer the consequences and be eradicated.
Yeah, it seems it. We may hear from, I don't know if we're going to hear from a teenager or a younger child, but we do have some youth coming up a bit later in the show. But let's move on to a story related to the animal uprising, another chilling phenomenon we're seeing play out. This is a news story that came to us by way of a listener, by way of a correspondent tip. Here's Amanda.
Hey guys, love your podcast. First time ever responding to yous, but I just seen a really cool article about sea wolves in British Columbia pulling in crab traps and eating out of the traps that men themselves have put there. I think this is part of the animal uprising.
I heard that voicemail from Amanda, did a bit of researching, and she was not lying. There's a story playing out in BC that has animal researchers scratching their heads and people like you and I absolutely terrified for what the animal uprising may have in store for us. Here's the story of the sea wolves in BC that have learned to use tools.
Resource Department is involved in a project to eradicate the invasive European green crab. Traps are set in remote parts of the coast, but the traps were being destroyed, and no one could figure out how.
Okay, what has the ability to physically pull a crab trap?
Along with researchers studying coastal wolves, cameras were set up with views of the traps, and the results shocked everyone.
They're so smart.
The video captured the day after the camera was installed. The wolf swims out to the buoy, takes it back to shore, then pulls the line to bring the trap to the surface, then opens the bait can and eats the herring roe inside.
This mental model that the only thing she can see is a float, but she knows all these other things are attached. At least we infer that. It sure looks that way.
The research was published in the journal Ecology and Evolution on Monday, describes the behavior as learned.
The way it sort of happened was they must have witnessed our crews putting the traps into the water.
But researchers don't know for sure.
So in one specific area we see this happen. We haven't seen this in some of the other areas where there are green crab traps. So it certainly strongly suggests that it's one pack.
Okay, that's an interesting one. When you listen to the news clip, I don't know if it's as clear as it should be for how amazing this is. So these researchers are studying this invasive crab in a way that they're studying it is they have traps in these bodies of water that look like a lobster trap or something. And I guess there's fish inside that trap. And their idea is they're going to catch these invasive crabs and study them. But there are wolves that swim out to the water and they, with their mouths, they grab the buoy that is connected to the trap. They swim back to shore. The buoy is connected to a long rope that goes to the crab trap or to the trap at the bottom of the water. And with their mouths, these wolves are pulling the trap out of the water with the rope. Then they're breaking the trap open and eating the bait inside and probably eating the crabs at the same time. But that's pretty intelligent, right? For a wolf to figure that out?
Wolves are terrifying as we knew them.
Mm-hmm.
I never considered a wolf to be dumb by any means, but certainly to be able to learn this type of skill and ability.
Mm-hmm.
So now when I think about wolves as being physically terrifying, now to know that they're probably also smarter than me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you
just lay down and give up. Yeah, lay down and give up. There's nothing you can do against the wolf now. You can't outthink it because it's already a few steps ahead of you. Mm. So what are you going to do?
What's kind of interesting is the idea of like how they learned to do this. Did they see the researchers laying the traps and collecting the traps, and they just sat and watched and figured it out? Because that's pretty smart if that is what they did. And it must be, because I don't know how else they would just realize if I swim out and I bite this thing and I pull it and then I pull the rope it's connected to, I get the trap. There's just a couple steps to that. And it's also cool that these researchers aren't having this problem elsewhere. So it's almost like this one pack of wolves figured this out and just have taught each other to do it or something. What amazing animals. Like if I think of crows as like among the smartest, and I've seen videos of crows using tools and all that stuff, or at least rudimentary tools, but like I never thought of wolves getting to that point. And yes, like you said, wolves alone are terrifying animals. They're big, sharp teeth, and they hunt in packs. The idea that they can also, figure out stuff and manipulate their environment in this way it's an interesting story.
It certainly is, and certainly another dark chapter in the telling of the animal uprising, and we'll just have to see what happens down the road, because they're problem solving, and really what we're breaking this down to is that the only difference between a human and an animal is the opposable thumbs that give us the ability to kind of do some things that they can't do, but they're just as smart as us, and they're doing great out there, and we're not doing as great. We're not feeding ourselves as well, and we're not getting along with each other as well. And I just think that the wolves and the crows and whatever other species are going to be at the top of the food chain after the uprising is finished, we'll be at the very bottom.
Let's enjoy the world as it is at present by taking our next break. When we get back, we have 2 WTF stories. Those are stories that are so bizarre, so unique, so offbeat, and so Canadian that they can't fit in any of the other segments. When we get back, when we get back from this break, we're going to go thrifting at Value Village. This is a weird one, Aaron. A Value Village in Ontario was recently evacuated because staff in the back that were sorting the donations found a friggin' grenade. Here's the story of the Value Village grenade.
Just this week, police in Chatham were called when a Value Village store received a donation later identified as a historical grenade dating back to the Second World War. The store was evacuated as a precaution.
A lot of veterans around the world, they were bringing back little souvenirs from the war. When they got home, they just left it in the loft or in a shed. Never thought anything more about it. They've obviously sadly passed away. And now, obviously, the next of kin are finding the actual ordnance.
That's believed to be what happened in 2018 when an 11-year-old boy living on Gladstone Avenue in Windsor came across a decommissioned grenade after moving a filing cabinet. 1 year prior, a citizen alerted police to an alley on Peary Avenue after finding what turned out to be a diffused grenade. And in March of 2020, a couple from Wallaceburg were magnet fishing on the Thames River when they pulled up a grenade with the pin still intact.
Regardless of how you come across it, we recommend not touching it, backing out of the area where you are, and call 911 immediately.
So that news clip doesn't give a whole lot of resolution for the Value Village incident. For people who don't know, Value Village is a secondhand store. It's owned by the American company Savers, so American listeners may know it as Savers. But it ended up in the middle of the day, they evacuated the store. Called 911, of course, and it was determined to not be a live grenade. It was a historic grenade, which is one that maybe someone was collecting from, I don't know, for whatever reason you would collect military memorabilia. But they didn't give much info beyond that, other than to say that it seems like the discovery of grenades is much more common than you would have thought. They just listed off all the other times grenades were found recently.
Yeah, they're all over the place. I'm going to search my apartment for grenades now.
see how many grenades you find. I guess I'm not surprised. There are a lot of, especially with the older demographic, there's a lot of people who collect that kind of stuff, military stuff. And I guess if you were cleaning out like an estate kind of situation and there was a bunch of weird old military stuff, maybe it was just in boxes and they dropped it off at Value Village. And I guess it's better to be safe than sorry. When you find a grenade, you should probably, call someone.
Yeah, Value Village would not be my first choice of where to bring a grenade,
but maybe
if I find it. Especially you're not getting any money for anything. It's like you really want that 20% discount card that you get when you donate to Value Village. So it's like, I'm so desperate, I'm even going to give this grenade to them so I can get a 20% off coupon.
I'm thinking whoever donated it didn't realize it was a grenade in whatever they donated. Maybe it was just box of old crap and they just brought it, like some guy died and his kids or whoever was cleaning out the house just had a bunch of boxes of random stuff and there just happened to be an old grenade in it.
Yeah, I guess so. That would be the only explanation for it. So
I'm sure they see some weird stuff. Like imagine having that job, like sorting out stuff in a thrift shop. You would probably see a lot of really weird things.
You absolutely would find some weird things and some gross things. I think I'd rather handle a grenade than probably half the stuff that people are dropping off and getting rid of and bringing to Value Village.
Here's a disturbing thought. Like the thought of a grenade, of course, that's scary. But what I wonder is, like, what do they do to prevent bed bugs from spreading?
Well, I mean, they wash the items when they get there.
Do they? Like if they get a ton of clothes, do they wash all that clothes? And what about like couches and chairs and old blankets or whatever? Like, do they wash this? Like what prevents the whole stores just being flooded with bed bugs?
Yeah, that's a good question about the couches and chairs. Now, the clothing, I'm pretty sure they wash the clothing before they hang it out on the racks for display. So it would be a nasty scene if they weren't washing the clothes.
I'm sensitive to bed bugs. In Halifax, where I'm living, there's a lot of problems with bed bugs, and I think it's just because of the amount of like people coming and going from the apartments and stuff in Halifax. I guess it just makes it easy for them to spread around and stuff, but it disturbs me and it really turns me off to go anywhere that has lots of used fabric goods.
Yeah, I understand. But
I've never...
Value Village, yeah, in terms of the clothes, but I don't think I would buy a couch at Value Village.
No, but
without having some kind of plan to really wash it down good.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about like buying the couch, but I'm worried about the couch being, okay, there's some hoarder or whatever, and there's bed bugs in their house. Someone cleans it out and they drop the couch off at Value Village or at any thrift shop, and there's bed bugs like living in it. And then that couch is in the area of the clothes and the everything else's that they sell. What's to prevent the bed bugs from, getting around? Then you buy a nice shirt and you bring it home, and all of a sudden you have to like burn your house down because there's bed bugs on everything.
Yeah, I don't know. It's never happened to me. I've been shopping for my clothes at Value Village for my entire adult life.
Okay.
That's never happened.
Okay, knock on wood.
Sure. All right.
Maybe I'm sure like in this whole talk is kind of pointless because I'm sure there's something they do to prevent it from happening, because the last thing any like big store like that would want is their store to be infested with bugs and they got to throw all their stuff away, or the public relations nightmare that would come from, someone going public with, I have to, my whole house is destroyed because of these bed bugs that I caught from, blank store.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, grenade or bed bugs, which would you be more terrified to handle?
I'll take the grenade.
Yeah. Any day, I'd take the grenade. Let's move on to the next what the hell story. This also involves retail. I guess we have two retail what the hell stores. And I also noticed that tonight we have a lot of stories that are things we kind of covered before in different ways. Like on this show, we would have covered stories of cats being lost and coming back many years later. We have covered trouble coming out of Lotto wins in these group buy situations. Something else we covered maybe 2 years ago or so was a massive brawl related to Pokemon cards. And it's happening again. I have an article here that covers not one, but two separate brawls at two separate Costco's on Monday of this week, both times related to Pokemon cards. Who should read the article, you or I?
Well,
Or someone else.
Or someone else. Or a grenade.
I don't think grenades can read. You just pull the pin and you let it rip. You don't sit it down and ask it to read to you.
That's pretty ignorant of you. You don't really know much about grenades, do you?
I know they don't read.
Okay. Well, then it won't be a grenade then.
Get the news, boy. Come on. Don't tease it.
Okay, you want the news, boy. He's busy finding grenades all over the yard. That's where he's at now.
Digging.
Yeah, he's just digging.
Actually, Save that. That's a good segue. Get the newsboy in here and tell him that we'll have a story about digging a little later.
Okay, great. Here we go. Extra, extra, read all about it. 2 separate altercations at Canadian Costco's linked to Pokemon card demand. 2 unrelated physical altercations at separate Costco stores in Canada on Monday have drawn attention to the growing tensions surrounding high-demand Pokemon trading cards. The first incident occurred at the Costco in Barrhaven, Ottawa. Police say officers were called just after 7:15 a.m. following reports of a fight among several people waiting in line for a high-demand item. Police later confirmed the item was Pokemon cards. 2 individuals sustained minor injuries during the altercation. 2 men were arrested and charged with assault. Then,
Stop right there. Before you get to the next story, let's just talk about this one and then we'll get on to the next one.
Sure. Okay.
So first thing to talk about, I've seen video of this incident and I've shared photos of it actually on the Canadian Gothic Facebook page, but you'll notice it happens at 7:15 a.m. What this is are like, these, I don't know if they're Pokemon card fanatics, but I think these are scalpers because there was a big lineup of people waiting to get in before it opened. So at 7:15 a.m., they're all lined up. And something happened in that lineup that led to like, it looked like 10 people just like punching and kicking and throwing each other around. And it turns out that they were waiting to get into the store to buy like, I guess, Pokemon cards, probably to resell. It must be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That would be the only strong enough motivation to send these people into a fit of rage.
Mm-hmm. And now here's what gets interesting. This article that we're in the middle of reading right now, it covers 2 separate stories that both happened at Costco's on Monday. When I heard this first one in Barrhaven area of Ottawa, I thought like, Costco should just put like a limit, the most Pokemon cards you can buy is, 1 box or whatever per membership, or, put some kind of membership so these people aren't like going crazy to get in there and buy the place out. That would make sense, right?
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense.
Have a limit on it. Okay. Now go on to the next. You can continue the article from there.
Okay. Then, later that day at a Costco in St. Albert, Alberta, tensions escalated when some customers allegedly attempted to exceed the store's 2-item limit by using multiple Costco memberships. When staff refused the purchases, the customers reached over employees to take product from the cart, resulting in a physical confrontation. There has been no charges in connection with this incident and no response from the police concerning a now viral video that captured the incident. Pokemon trading cards have seen a significant surge in demand across North America, driven by collectors, resellers, and limited supply. Retailers, including Costco, have implemented purchasing limits to manage crowding and prevent conflicts. The 2 Costco incidents highlight ongoing challenges faced by retailers as they attempt to balance inventory, safety, and customer demand for highly sought-after trading card products.
Oh, what a bunch of chaos. I guess, and the reason I asked you about the limit on purchases would just make sense. But of course, that would only lead to a big fight between employees and the customers or the resellers. It reminds me of we had really bad ice storms in Halifax last winter, and there was a shortage of like road salt because everyone was buying salt to melt the ice in their driveways and everything. And I just happened to be at Canadian Tire one day, and they brought out like I was waiting like at the lineup for like the customer service section. I think I was returning something, but they brought out a big pallet of road salt and they sat it right towards like the front door of the store with a sign on it that said like limit 2 per customer.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed to see this guy who brought a shopping cart and he was just piling it up. He had 15 bags of salt, and an employee went over and they're like, "Sir, it's only 2 bags per person. We want to have enough for everybody." And that led to this big shouting match about how this guy has an apartment building and he needs a bunch of road salt, and it's illegal to have a limit like this, and
Yeah.
it was a whole big
There's-
ridiculous thing.
There's nothing in the world that I would need to buy so badly that would cause me to behave this way.
Yeah. You don't see yourself fighting outside of Costco at 7:15 on a Monday?
I mean, if society has already collapsed and this is kill or be killed, dented soup cans, that type of a situation, hoarding it in my bunker, I'd kill for that. I'd hatchet somebody to death and enjoy it probably, and I'd wipe their blood on my face, and I'd be all painted up, and I'd be just really completely primal and very law of the jungle. I'm all for that when society collapses, but when society is still relatively intact, there's not an item in the world that would have me lining up, for one thing, because I think lineups are crazy.
Yeah,
there's not a product anywhere that you can get me to line up for. And then to start throwing fists over these things, it's like, it's just not worth it to me.
It's kind of weird that there's money to be made doing this, because I believe these are like scalpers. They're buying a bunch of it. Let's say you go to Costco and you buy a box of 20 packs of Pokemon cards. They're probably opening the box and reselling the packs for more. I'm just surprised there's that much demand for this. Maybe because because the holidays are just around the corner. Maybe they're anticipating there's going to be a shortage of Pokemon cards, and they'll be able to resell them on, like, I don't know where, Facebook Marketplace or something for more money. But the idea that you can make so much money that you will line up outside of a Costco at 7:15 in the morning, and not only will you line up, you will fight people in that lineup. There's something about Pokemon cards I don't know.
There is something going on with Pokemon that I have no idea.
It's such a different subculture. We've covered a lot of Pokemon stories. I think we covered a fight at a Costco maybe like a year or two ago related to Pokemon cards. We've heard multiple stories of card shops being robbed for Pokemon cards. It's such a thing. I'm surprised that if it is a fad, I'm surprised it's stuck around this long, but I don't think it is a fad. It has been happening for years.
No, this chaos is here to stay.
Yeah. What is Pokemon cards doing right that like hockey cards and stuff lost? Because when we were kids, hockey cards, like everybody had a binder of hockey cards, and it was just a normal thing to collect hockey cards. I don't think that's really a thing at all anymore, but Pokemon cards at my kid's school, every kid has a pocket full of Pokemon cards. And oftentimes they're fake.
Yeah. I don't know much about them. I don't want to know much about them.
Yeah.
I want to stay clear of anything Pokemon related. I'll leave that up to the rest of the world to figure out. Now, dented soup cans. Now we're talking.
That I'll kill for. Who may know something about Pokemon cards is our next caller. His name is Lyndon. I don't know what motivated this message. I don't know anything about it. I'm just going to get into it. This is a voicemail that came to our inbox from a correspondent named Lyndon. He sounds maybe like a teenager, but maybe even younger than that. And I think he's just kind of like recounting something that happened to him. I'm not really sure what to make of it, but this is how we'll end the show with Lyndon. Here's the story that Lyndon shares about digging a hole, I suppose.
Me and my friends were down by this dog park behind like this fence and everything where the dogs like don't go. And we were digging a deep hole. It ended up being 10 foot. Our lovely gym teacher came by and called the cops on us. Then the cops called the city sirs, and then they started talking to us. So then we filled in the hole. Then, even though we had a fence around it, so like nobody would randomly go into it at night or something and trip and fall into it. And yeah, it was because our gym teacher called the cops on us. It was pretty insane.
That is insane. What do you make of that? For one, is it even for us, or is this like a wrong number? Because they didn't address us in any way. And I can't find any connections from that story to anything we've ever talked about.
Yeah. There was a teenager that called in before. Was that Lyndon?
I don't remember the name, but the voice did sound a little familiar, right?
Yeah. Maybe we should do a little homework on that and see if it's possible to figure out if that was Lyndon who had called in before. But it's unfortunate that it had to be your gym teacher that told on you. And I understand that that probably feels like a betrayal. Because in the town that you live in, similar to the town of Footloose, where dancing was banned, hole digging is banned in your town. And
It seems it. But this is not your regular hole. Lyndon said it was 10 feet. Maybe he doesn't get... That's a deep hole, if so.
Oh, yeah, and it takes a long time to dig 10 feet down because I've done it before.
And there's more than just digging a hole, because not only did he dig a hole, him and his buddies, it sounds like they also had a fence around it. So they erected a fence. So they went to a dog park. And then they went behind the fence at the dog park. They dug a 10-foot hole and they built a fence around it. Somehow their gym teacher shows up.
Yeah.
And asks them not to, calls the cops, who then calls some other force called the city, who then calls the peace force or something. I couldn't really follow it. In Cape Breton, we say rigmarole. Sounds like you got involved in quite a bit of rigmarole.
Yeah, it's too bad we don't have a bit more context as to why they were digging the hole to begin with.
And how his gym teacher ended up there. Was it on school grounds?
It must have been at least near school grounds.
Well, why would they have a dog park on school grounds?
I don't know. There's a lot we don't know about this. We need more information, and yeah, let's some pictures, like more context here.
This is I choose to believe that he was calling a different podcast that focused entirely on like hole related digging stories, perhaps, or bureaucratic nightmares, because it did sound like whose like domain it was to enforce the no digging rule there was a bit hazy. But either way, I invite voicemails from all different walks of life. Go to thecanadiangothic.com/contact and sound off if you have feedback on any of the stories we talked about tonight. If you have any stories playing out in your weird neck of the woods that you want to tell us about, let us know about that as well. And if your voice is aired on the show, you qualify for a Keep Canada Weird swag pack. I will send it to you by mail, and it'll show up before Christmas, which would be a nice little present from Santa Bonaparte.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think might as well call out for more hole stories. This seems like this could be a new wave of thematic voicemails for us to play on the show. If you were digging a hole and something interesting happened, we want to know.
I don't know.
No, we don't. No, we did tires.
If it's
we did
really
stairs.
good,
Why not do holes?
I would say if you have a whole story where you're like, this is amazing, then I want to hear. But if you're even on the fence, like, I don't know if this is a good enough whole story, then I'd say just pass on that one. I'm not crazy about that idea.
I think the listeners always come through. So the listeners, if they want to give us a whole story, it's going to be good. I know. I trust them.
What if it's a pothole and then it becomes a road story? Ooh, that breaks a tire. Okay, actually, I see where you're going. There could be a bit of a connection. The hole was so deep, we had to build stairs to get out of it. And it broke our tires.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, there we are.
That's the trifecta.
Only other thing we got to plug here is this episode is coming out on Friday, the 28th of November. Just 2 short days later, that's Sunday, is going to be the next mailbag. So if you're listening to this, free yourself for an hour or so on Sunday, because we have volume 10 of the Keep Canada Weird mailbag coming to your earballs.
What did you call it?
Eardrums.
I just stopped for a second there.
You like choked a bit.
Come into your earballs.
Eardrums. And it's a good one. Anything else we got to say before we put a bow on this handsome air and airport?
Well, yeah. just have a happy life.
Handsome Aaron Airport. Till next time.
Jordan, bus stop, backhoe, Bonaparte. Until next time.
30 teenagers show up to your sushi restaurant. Just walk up to the front and flip that sign around that says, "Sorry, we're closed." Because the night's ruined. Can't fix it. You just gotta let it run its course.
Yeah. And Jordan, until next time, I'm going to dig a hole and I'm going to bury all my Pokemon cards in it.
Maybe for the better. And I'm going to beat some guy's head in right on top of that hole. Be like, "They're my cards."
That's my friends' cards. I'll die for them.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. Now, if any one of you listening want to get more involved in what we're doing, we need all the correspondence we can get. So if something weird happens in your area, or if you have any thoughts on anything we discussed tonight, let us know about it. The best way to reach us is by using the voice recorder that can be found at thecanadiangothic.com/contact. Now, I'm going to start wrapping up the episode, but before we part, let us thank a few people. First of all, Aaron and I want to give a big thank you to all the correspondents who contributed to this episode. If your voice message was aired on the show, go back to thecanadiangothic.com/contact and fill out the form to claim your swag pack and Keep Canada Weird badge. We'll happily get it right out to you. Next, a big shout out to Unicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. And then lastly, but most importantly, we have a massive thank you to every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this work would be impossible. And for any one of you out there who want to support the show financially and get more out of the show at the same time, please consider the premium feed. Our premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of Keep Canada Weird episodes and bonuses. You can go premium at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if the premium feed isn't for you, you can still support the show by simply sharing episodes on social media. That's free, and it's a big help. So until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and please keep Canada weird.
And keep Canada weird. Please keep Canada weird.